Welcome back to Block TV, where it is, yes, finally time for Pump or Dump. That's where we look at the dominant news narratives of the week and see if we agree or disagree with the agenda, whether we pump it or dump it in favor of another. And to do this, I am joined by none other than Block TV's crack team of reporters, starting with Tech Maven, as Asher called her, Oran Spitzer. Hello to you. With us, of course, culture cretin Zachy Hennessy.
It is I.
Yeah. Crime correspondent Yona Hochhauser. And last, that's how you pronounce it in German. And last but not least, and definitely one of my favorites, Asher Westrop Evans, senior correspondent. Hello to
Staggering.
you. Staggering, exactly.
Betrayed.
Shush, you are important and serious journalists. Look at me. We're going to start, of course, round one. You have a minute to state your case, then we vote on it. There will be prizes at the end. And Oran, take it away with malware attack versus takedown child porn sites.
Lies. There's not going to be a prize at the end.
Go.
But anyway, moving on. So we keep talking about malware attacks on Bitcoin, and I think the general consensus amongst us at this point is that they happen. We know they happen. We have to catch up with the technology in order to be able to fight those. Now, sidebar off of that, recently, South Korean national, I'm reading this headline here off the National, and hundreds of others charged worldwide in the takedown of the largest darknet child pornography website, which was funded by Bitcoin. Now, why is this interesting? I mean, interesting, it's disturbing, it's extremely disturbing.
Incredibly disturbing, but
except
yes.
for the fact that the only reason that people were able to track them down, police was able to track them down, was because Bitcoin was traceable. Now, as a Bitcoin community...
Because of blockchain. Okay.
So we hate that, right, as a crypto community, because we appreciate our privacy and we don't like to know that things are actually trackable. But this goes to show you that the number one most privacy-focused thing is actually cash. Had these people been using cash, it would have been bad, but they got their money and they got taken down. So, I mean...
Not too
Bitcoin doing good.
Very good. Okay, this is a very interesting point, actually, which I've been mulling over for quite a while. Bitcoin is great to own your own money, but at the end of the day, also, ultimately, not you, but your Bitcoin can be traced. Isn't this a good thing in this case?
You go.
Yona, please.
Yeah, I mean, listen, one of the early promises of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin was the anonymity. Anonymity,
Right.
exactly. Of it, and the fact that you could be that people won't know who you are when you're using it.
Right.
And while it is true to an extent, the usage of Bitcoin, you could kind of conceal your identity. The onboarding and offboarding, governments and regulators have done a pretty good job. We've seen so far, as much as you could of really checking the onboarding and offboarding. They got all major exchanges to do KYC. At the beginning, when they made KYC, it was a big deal. Now it's like, all right, yeah, of course you need KYC. That's a big deal. Right. Every exchange now does KYC.
Look, and to the extent that you could still do like over-the-counter transactions, avoid exchanges, just like give the old-fashioned way when it first kicked off, where you'd wire some money to a bank account and someone would send you Bitcoin. Like that's the good old-fashioned way of getting things done. People don't want to work in that system anymore because they want to onboard and offboard, as you said, in a more convenient or accessible manner and a little, it's supposed to be trustless, but sending that fiat currency and hoping you get back some Bitcoins, a little bit of a fun game. It is problematic, but there are other coins out there. Maybe these guys just need to be a little more informed. Get your Monero on the case. You've got privacy coins.
Oh my God.
Is this a tip to the people?
Not a tip to child pornography.
I don't tell people how to use their money, but what to use their money for, but I tell them how to use it effectively.
I would just take issue with saying we should dump talking about malware attacks, because I feel like even if there's like a minor stabbing, you still want to hear about it.
Yeah, but you have cyber attacks all the time. This is literally the only interesting thing about a headline like that is the fact that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency has anything to do with it.
Okay, I actually, I'm divided on this. I think it's a big question. I'm putting the malware thing aside. I think that it gives Bitcoin a bad rep when it's used for problems. When it's used for
government should like this.
But it's traceable. In a way, you can get to the source. So you know what? Conflicted, but once again, Zachy wins. Zachy.
Yes.
But let's go to you with the second round. With the first round, second victim, Gods Unchained versus Neon District. What the hell is this about? Your minute starts now.
You heard of these newfangled video games? All right, that's what we're talking about today. There's Gods Unchained. It's one of the biggest, it's actually inarguably the biggest blockchain game right now. It's got billions in funding. It's doing very well, and the team there is doing a great job with it. But we've heard about it. It's the biggest thing. That's great. What needs a spotlight is a smaller developer called Blockade Games. They were behind Pineapple Arcade and Plasma Bears, which is kind of like a spin-off of CryptoKitties. They are
Plasma
releasing.
Bears is awesome.
Yeah,
Go.
they're releasing a new game called Neon District. Okay, and this is a cyberpunk RPG, which is
Wait,
features
this is the
turn-based
game? That's the
combat.
game?
Yeah, that's the game.
Okay.
Turn-based combat. You got decentralized items. It's fun times. Just recently, they are going to release, not recently, but
I'm
coming
sorry,
up soon.
I want to look at this for a bit longer, just because as a mother, you're
You're
going to have to
taking his
explain to me.
time.
Wait 1 second.
Yeah.
They're going on to Steam. You can wish list them now and then get ready for the launch later this year.
Okay. Yeah, explain to me for a second. What
Yeah.
is this? Is this a she-robot? Is this a who's the bad? Who are good? What's going on here?
All right, Yael. I
Dude,
don't want to have to
robot thing,
explain.
bad
No,
guy.
please explain to her what an MMORPG is, you tard.
So I want to bring a thought into this because you and I had a little look through some of the gameplay,
Yeah.
early release stuff together
Yeah.
at some point before we went on today.
Good.
It's not good.
Listen.
Neon District looks like I don't want to poo-poo anyone's project,
poo-poo. Go for
but
it.
Poo-poo away.
the gameplay looks stilted. The graphics design, while kind of like stylized, like uninspired,
Cool. Steampunk.
Cyberpunk,
Cyberpunk.
please. It's been done. It's been done.
I'll tell you
It
this.
feels a
Blade
little
Runner
bit
did it better.
2000-ish to me. I gotta say.
I'll tell you this. There is a better Cyberpunk game coming out, literally called Cyberpunk 2077,
Right.
and that's coming out in April. Not blockchain related.
Right.
My point is, even though I agree with you, the graphics are a little bit like, and it's a little bit stilted, a little bit. It doesn't seem like it flows very well. You gotta put a highlight on these kinds of things. Give them a little bit of positive attention, at least
Why?
attention, so that people can realize, hey, it's worthwhile to try to start to develop these further and refine.
But there's
these
a
kinds
point
of
here, and this is something we've discussed multiple times when it comes to gaming and blockchain. Just because you throw the word blockchain in there, you still the base game needs to be good.
That's right.
Otherwise, why am I going to want it? If you have a really good base game that you add blockchain
Otherwise,
to,
can
shit,
I
yeah,
finish
that's really
this
cool.
thought? When people go to another blockchain-based game, they'll be like, it's that shit. I don't want to go into that. Usher, the man with the suit, wins. But we're Zachy, you're taking it like a man. Yona Hochhauser, it is your turn. Libra versus Ford Sorry, Usher, it's your turn. What am I doing?
I ceded my turn.
I know. You cede you. It's Usher. Usher, your turn, man with the suit, as I just said. Binance leverage versus Telegram. Everything.
Right.
I see your point. You begin now.
Okay, so Binance has come out announcing a 125 times leverage on their futures exchange, beating out even BitMax, who were chided in the past by the CFTC, among others, for irresponsible degrees of leverage. I mean, 125 times leverage is unbelievable. And look, BitMax was accused of doing some market manipulation and trading against their own users on their site in order to sort of
Right.
get ahead in the game. No one's yet coming out saying anything against Binance on this front, but it does seem like a bit of a cash grab, a bit of a pullout, and just
Although I'll give you this argument, Binance has made good on their promises thus far.
yeah,
In
but
some
the
ways,
promise is to give people unbelievable, irresponsible amounts of leverage on such a volatile market. Look, anyway, this is the point that I'm dumping because I don't think it's a quality product to be talking about. Maybe if volatility magically goes down, we can bring it up. More importantly, in the last 10 seconds, Telegram is critical to talk about because it is the most interesting story in the sphere at the moment. You can see all our reporting on BLOCKTV on it, and we should all be talking about it more and more. I should pump myself.
I just want to say that once again, Usher
old-fashioned
proves that his
self-pump.
parents raised him well. But hold on, let's talk about this for a second. Is Telegram everything apropos? Yes. Fascinating story in wake of Libra versus Binance leverage. Maybe Binance needs to be investigated a bit more.
Yeah, you're trying to. I agree with the people that are speaking about Telegram because they're actively trying to get things done. But I think it's unfair to be pushing down the Binance because Binance, on the other hand, is a crypto company that's been delivering. That no matter what your thoughts on them, they have actual products out there. They're the first to market on a lot of things. They're pushing IEOs. They have their whole education or Binance Academy. They say things and they're delivering and they're actually doing good.
I mean, but I'm going to agree here because what really frustrates me about Telegram, especially because I really, really, truly believed that Telegram was going to happen. Like it took 2 weeks before shit hit the fan,
No,
like
entirely.
before things were
Entirely.
supposed to launch.
Entirely.
And they're so, like, I don't even want to give these people the light of day, but you know what I mean? It's still the biggest story, as you said. But it's so frustrating. And then there's Binance, which, listen, they could fall. There could be a scandal. There could be a million
I
things.
think one thing about Binance is I think a lot of people behind the scenes are, and I'm quoting sources, are feeling that Binance are too big for their own good.
Potentially.
Potentially.
But
also
at least they're
yeah.
doing things.
Yes, but at least you're doing things can be an argument that was made for BitConnect, for Mt. Gox, for there are so many players out there in this field who have been doing things and things get bigger and more complex and convoluted. And when you start
And
doing
then they
things
end
like
up in jail.
125 times trading, like you understand what that means. You got $1,000, you can trade on $125,000. That's outrageous.
But you know what then? So your point is invalid for the other reason. You should be paying attention to Binance because you never know when shit might hit the fan, and you should just be
No,
up
you
to
got to
date
stop
on what
giving.
they're
You got to
doing.
stop giving air to it. Like it's growing too fast, too quickly, and it should be given some time to mellow down.
We shall agree to disagree.
No, you're going to agree to disagree, and I enjoyed it profusely, so I win. And
Sure.
which means that the German kid on the block is up for rounding this round up. Jona Hochhauser, you are looking at Libra versus Ford blockchain, and I know
Yes.
where you're heading with this, and I will argue you against it, but let's go.
All right, well, I mean, I'm using the keyword Libra because that's been, a big buzz, but you could also throw in Telegram, you could throw in even Binance, you could throw in every other cryptocurrency related story where cryptocurrencies has its pros, it has its cons, it's been negatively associated, this and that. I want to shift focus. I think we sometimes lose focus of that all this cryptocurrency technology is built on the blockchain. And the blockchain so far has been having real world great applications without all the blowback that is affiliated with some of the cryptocurrency. And the latest I want to highlight is that the Ford Motor Company, as along with 4 other major car companies, including Honda and BMW, are starting to put car data on the blockchain for our own safety. Ford's doing it to protect the environment, where now in Germany, once the car enters a certain low emissions zone, based off the blockchain, it would then switch automatically to all electric mode. And these are the type of blockchain-focused projects that are going to better the world and not just make money, which is cryptocurrency.
First of all, I tend to agree with you when it comes to blockchain technology. I'm now just speaking from where I'm sitting and throwing this at you guys. Blockchain isn't as sexy as price, really. We have to remember that journalism is a business as well. And I think that's why people are always, and you're right, people are always like, okay, the price is up, is down. The question is, what is, though, the gist of the story of Bitcoin and blockchain? And how do we actually sell it to a greater group of people? What do you guys think?
I'm gonna agree with Jona on this one as well, because I think, and as a journalist, it appeals to me as well. There's more depth in those blockchain stories, like finding out how they're utilizing this technology, then understanding how they're holding the databases, understanding how they're then utilizing that information to have real world changes. Like, does this emissions scheme actually pan out to like lower rated emissions? Does it actually work or not? I love finding out these new applications.
I'd
of
like to
blockchain.
talk to the developers. That
Yes.
kind of interesting. I think I wholeheartedly.
Which you
Let's
would
do it. Let's call up Ford.
Like, I'm
Do
sick
it.
of saying it went up or down on this particular day. The story can become tied, particularly when the market's not doing as much as you want it to do. So let's get into the meat and veg of this situation.
You may want to take the lens and change the forward focus.
I see what you
Buzz
did
this out. Buzz this
Do you
out.
win that?
Where's the buzzer?
I think
Where's
he
the
automatically
buzzer?
wins there. There we
Okay.
go.
You
High
all,
five.
No, you all win. You all win. Plus, let me give you this to chew on, and everybody else. Why isn't blockchain more prevalent, more existing in the world of medicine? And medical records, which I know has a lot of issues of privacy in it, but could save lives.
But so, I mean, similarly, I was
Yeah.
reading an article on education and how that can work there with issuing transcripts and for professor purposes, which is the same thing as kind of what you would be able to do in the medical field. And what they were saying is that like the user experience isn't up to date yet.
And not
It's
only that, think
we don't
about it.
understand. They were saying we don't understand it enough yet to use it for these official.
Or let me just say that people will have a very hard time
purposes.
lying on their CV in the future.
Wait, are you pumping or dumping
It's
this?
true.
I'm confused.
I'm not pumping or dumping anything. I
She's
was
just
responding
answering.
to
Oh,
what
are we
Mel
gonna pump
said.
or dump, or what are we
Yeah,
gonna
exactly.
do?
Round 2, people. Round 2. And that leads us actually to Iran back, who's about to pump versus dump on the grill on the hill versus Libra's congressional friend. And your minute starts now.
So we're always talking about these grills on the Hill as if they're the most impressive things in the world. Generally, it's a bunch of senators asking questions that they don't even know what they're asking about. It's like their person who works for them, their little intern, like wrote a bunch of questions that make sense, and they're just kind of reading it off of a paper and, shoehorning their own agendas ultimately is what they're doing. But then when we talk, so last week a letter was sent out by Senator Mike Rounds, I believe South Dakota, apologizing for his colleagues. Ultimately,
it was remarkable.
For being hostile is the word he used. And what I particularly enjoyed about his letter is, aside from giving support, is that he mentions this kind of digital illiteracy that I'm really fascinated by recently, digital illiteracy that exists, especially in the United States,
Very much so.
because we're lagging. The United States is lagging, excuse me, Australian here, because the United States is lagging in that regard. And by his letter, it seems that Rounds believes that this delay or not taking something like Libra seriously pushes forward or makes us lag more.
Exactly. And she's right. There was one congressional friend to the whole Libra agenda that came out, and it's an interesting point. But what do we pump? Why don't we? Well, let me rephrase this. The Grill on the Hill brings viewers.
Absolutely, and I'm saying we should stop talking about that and make this more mainstream. Like, why wasn't it? It didn't really make its rounds. Haha, rounds.
It should have made more rounds.
I'll make a statistical point here. There are 535 members of Congress.
Ooh.
One friend is great.
Well, yeah, no,
But
for sure.
Underdog
You just got
story,
me
baby.
interested. Actually, that would be the headline. As you said, from 535 legislators, only one seems to get it.
Well, he said,
And
I
then-
have colleagues
Well, you should
who
be a
agree
journalist.
with
That's
me.
good.
Yeah,
and
no, I mean, others
whatnot.
might say behind closed doors what happens there, but
Yeah.
you need a public statement if you want to say someone's on board.
And
Yeah.
from the point of view of viewers, Mike Rounds found his way in. He was like, everybody's talking about Libra. I'm gonna write a letter, and everybody will know my name. And that
Get
community.
Rounds
You did
on
it.
the horn.
Same as Andrew.
I want
Yang.
to talk to him
Yeah.
immediately.
Andrew
Yeah.
Yang
Okay.
did the
That's true.
same.
Yang, and he's done well
And
with that.
buzzer once
He's done
again.
well with that.
Zaki wins this one.
Yes.
Okay.
Dude, he's raising
But
them
because
in.
Zaki, we're going. Wait. Oh God, this is bad. We're going to Zaki, and the theme is Usher's mom. This should be interesting. Usher's mom, that's a senior correspondent here, versus Rip who? What? R.I.P.
Versus RIP
Mice race.
MiceRace.com.
You know,
Let's talk.
Okay.
Yes,
And
go.
Start my
Zaki,
timer.
right? Zaki's very controversial minute begins now. Go.
Asher Westrup Evans' mother is a saint, and she has raised one of the nicest men that I am pleased to know, a beautiful blue-eyed boy. She is stunning, talented. We have a picture of her here, there behind her pet. That is fantastic. Anyways, but enough about Asher Westrup Evans' mother. She's sweet, but we gotta move on to something that is very, it touched me, and it was very
Unlike his mother?
tragic, which is MiceRace.com has died. I
How
have,
shocking.
yeah,
It was
truly.
very sad for us.
Hold on, it was confirmed
Yes.
dead by their CEO, who told BLOCKTV via email they couldn't pay, there's a quote, couldn't pay the
rent?
monthly operating costs, but
Pretty much.
have no fear, Mice Race, the mice will be given away to pet shops, quote, so that other people can purchase them as pets. We gotta stop talking about these moms and start talking about little projects
These
that
moms.
try, fail, and sometimes succeed.
I'm going to control this panel right now. First of all, Usher, you've got my full permission. In 20 seconds, if you want to punch him, you can
Clap him.
I'm okay with that.
Overhand slap. I'll accept it.
You played a dangerous game, but you know what you failed at? I don't have a mom. I'm an Australian citizen. I have a mum. So it's Ash's mum. I'm just saying.
Okay,
So-
but no, and I want to go back to Mice Race. That was
Yeah.
very good.
Thank you.
These are the guys that you interviewed
Yeah.
that operated their shenanigans from what seemed to be an Eastern European flat.
Yeah, that's right.
Hungarian. I
Yes,
think.
but what you
Okay.
neglected to say there is that we were obsessed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
BLOCKTV
This
had a
website was
short-lived
found
but in-depth
and-
fascination.
It was the
with
best
Us?
use case. It was the best use case for cryptocurrencies.
Clearly
I
not.
saw.
They
on
just
it.
ran out of money.
We were on MiceRace.com. We weren't betting,
Yeah,
but we were
I was
on
betting.
MiceRace.com.
Listen, and it's
Frequently.
not just the fact that MiceRace.com failed, but it's also that it tried. And we saw that it was a fantastic application of the technology. We got to focus on more of these little tiny grassroots projects and give them the
that
spotlight.
abuse animals.
There were some lies.
No, they were happy gerbils. They weren't even
yeah.
mice.
Yeah, they were
having
mice. They were
seizures.
germs.
Okay,
They were
I'm
built on
going to
a-
take
on a
control of this. All of you
powerful
lose.
time.
I'm so happy the mice of micerace.com apparently have been released. I do hope that they will make good on their promise and give them out as pets.
Their life expectancy is about a week.
Yeah, they're probably dead anyway.
Okay, Usher, we are going to the Australian who, once again, if you feel like you want to punch him in your minute,
That's an
go
open
for it. It's an
invitation?
open
Okay.
invitation. But it's Usher Westrup Evans with Death Cross versus 18 Bitcoin. Let's take that minute now.
Okay, so a lot of talk has been coming up in technical analysis in the charts. On the Bitcoin one-day chart, we're seeing that the short-term moving average and the long-term moving average are hitting the good old-fashioned death cross. The short-term crosses below. We'll say that's a very bearish indicator. A lot of technical analysts we speak to are very concerned about that. But I don't think we should be talking about that because there could be a bounce back. We've seen it. We saw the golden cross a few months ago. And What we should be talking about is the fact that Bitcoin has hit a fantastic milestone. 18 million Bitcoin as of October 18th have now been minted. 18 million in existence. I think that's a milestone to hit. There is less than 3 million Bitcoin left to be made in the history of ever, in the future of ever. Only 3 million. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, though, you can still go out and mine because it'll take another 120 years for those 3 million Bitcoin to be mined. So we got some time. You can still go out and mine yourself a nice little Bitcoin, as we're doing in the office right now, but that'll come up in a later segment. It's an impressive milestone. I think just an important sort of note to point out.
And this is
focus on
Barrett
the
said that
future.
this is within the 10 years of existence,
Exactly.
almost 11 years of
Exactly.
existence. And in circulation, that is fascinating. Okay, what do you guys think?
Well, so this whole
Go with
idea.
it, for it or wrong.
Well, I mean, yeah, we should absolutely be pumping the 18 million in Bitcoin because it's a scary thing. Like, what if it's not over the next? It's supposed to be like 130 years. I know, and like Andreas Antonopoulos like recently came out.
Supposedly,
I'm not concerned about that. But what if not? Like, what if that's not what happens? Are we gonna have another Bitcoin Cash situation? Are we gonna have a different fork? What is gonna happen if it happens in a shorter span of time? Especially if we want this to be, this is like the Y2K of
No, I
Bitcoin.
mean, let's pose a scenario.
In some weird,
Let's
like,
say
convoluted
recession
way.
hits
The
global
T2M.
markets tomorrow profusely, okay? Bitcoin becomes a thing again, or or more of a thing, okay? Trade war goes away, recession hits. In the Western world, people start, oh, that Bitcoin thing, and it doesn't take 125 years, right? What then?
That's
then
what
it's
I'm
still
saying.
over a
No,
long
Zaki,
period
the
of
yawning
time.
is not the answer.
That's literally its purpose. Its purpose is that when everything goes to shit and recession hits, and even after the last one is mined, it still functions. And
Right.
as the value skyrockets, people, instead of trading Bitcoins, they just trade in Satoshis. And one
Right.
Satoshi can be worth $1. That's the point. It's unlimitedly. It's limitless how much it can be divisible. A Bitcoin.
Well, actually, there's a
is.
very clear limit. It's 1 Satoshi, which is 100 millionth of a Bitcoin.
Well, so in
But it's a very small
No,
increment.
but no, because I mean that if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, 1 Satoshi is $1.
digital gold, guys, digital gold.
Okay.
You'll store it.
No,
Don't lose it.
I give this round to actually, let me think, sure, because it's a good discussion. What we are going to,
we're
again,
tied.
once again,
I don't wanna-
Yona Hochhauser, hacks versus Bitcoin snitching.
Yeah. So for those
Wait. The minute starts now.
For those viewers at home, you might say, "Hey, hacks versus Bitcoin snitching sounds awfully
like a good
close,
song.
awfully close to what Oran, the tech maven, was talking about. It's almost exactly the same topics. It actually literally is the same topics. So I went back and I checked the BLOCKTV internal chat, and I looked. And I actually sent my topics to our producer, Alone, an hour before Iran's, but not on the same chat.
Okay.
It was actually direct message to Alone. So
This
Are
is
you
the
gonna
whole
add
minute.
no, so Oran, I will. Oran didn't steal it from me. She did not see my things. I want to dump here, not Oran. I want to dump our producer Alone, who should have actually seen and realized, hey, he received within an hour span the exact same
But I
topics.
sent links. Did you send links?
I said the topics. This guy should be on top of his game. Now switching over to the Bitcoin snitching, similarly to what Oran was saying, I would like to pump our producer Rebecca, who's always on top of her game. All you guys who are really give all the effort. I feel like everyone works really hard here. It doesn't get the credit, including our producer Alone. Thank you, Alone.
So basically, you both had. Let me summarize.
can
we
we
both
get the
wanted to
shot?
talk about
Guys, let me
malware.
summarize this in a television,
Yeah.
in a visual way for viewers. 2 people did the same item. Yes.
Can we get the shot of the control room? Is Alon in the control room right
I
now?
want
I
to see
was
the control.
wondering.
There we go. He's doing a great job. We love you anyway.
That's credit. I think we can all agree we should credit our control team. Hard at work. They're
Yes,
making sure
yes.
that all the magic on Block TV happens.
Exactly.
They should all be
Look what a
pumped.
douchebag. I do work, I say the thing, he thanks everybody.
The
Everybody's
moment
like,
has
yay!
been there. Once again, Zachy wins.
Yes!
Folks, I just want to say, this was Pump or Dump. You've been fabulous.
What's
Our
my prize?
illustrious team of our illustrious team of investigative producers. Zachy gets a full bowl of popcorn.
Yeah!
Yay! And
I'm
we
taking
are-
a couple of
I'm
kernels.
gonna go make
We
it
are
now.
Block TV. We'll be
keep
right
it.
back.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.